Yup, how's it going? I wanted to do another solo GM, for two reasons really. One, I wanted to get some footage for the new build, which is what you're seeing, so I guess this is gonna kind of be like a little sneak peek preview, I guess. So, yeah, welcome to the exclusive club, I guess. But, another reason was this was just going to be a really good place to test this build out. Not because of Brawn, where we just get a lot more health, but because this is a super, super close quarters GM. Like a lot of fights are really, really up close. Basically the opposite of Inverted Spire, where there were kind of like big gaps and distances. This one was super, super like tight, which for Ascension is perfect. You know, obviously it's got to be pretty up close. And as well, there were a bunch of overloads here as well. Ascension, Jolt, stuns them. It was just like stars aligned. This was the perfect GM to get this week to show off what this build can do. So I was, yeah, I was pretty gassed to see it. There was, I was going to do a few builds with this role. It's Inmost Coyote. So if you've watched the first build up on the channel, which was the knife trick one, then, you know, it's kind of good news, I suppose. You can have two builds from one class item, which is always pretty nice, you know, it saves you having to farm. But there was another build that I was wanting to do, which was this really, really cool kind of knife trick build again, but it was using Synthos and Stylish Executioner. Whole idea being is that you kind of knife trick someone from being invisible with Synthos, and then it gets the damage bonus of that 200% increase that you get from being invis, applies the weaken as well, and then obviously Synthos is 160, and then you were going to have this like ridiculous damage ignition, and it didn't end up working because it's a bugged interaction. I don't know if Bungie is going to fix that at some point, but dude, I went and I tested it, and I was just so gutted to see that one not work. That would have been such a cool build. And yeah, I was I was not happy to see that. I was pretty gutted. But this was the other build that I wanted to test, which is a stylish Ascension Inmost Light Coyote. And this build feels really, really good. I don't think the time length of this GM kind of accurately shows how strong this is. I think this was like a 20-something minute run, but it's because for 7.5 minutes, once I get into the boss room, I do not get a single heavy ammo break. Not one. I genuinely, I look back through the footage, I get in the room at 12 minutes 30, which as far as like, I had a quick look at some GMs online, just to kind of see how that was squaring up against others. That's a pretty quick run. I mean, apart from like your consecration speed running titans, obviously they probably can do this in like 10 seconds. But just for like the average Joe just running this, that was pretty good time. And then for 7.5 minutes, I do not get a single heavy ammo break. Thing is, like, it's Anarchy as well. So it's like a massive charger for my super because it does lots of damage ticks. It just didn't drop. It made this run, which could have so easily been like a sub 20, into a like past 20-minute run. And like the irony in it, can't even speak, is that the game in the last kind of like third of the boss's health, it then literally just gives me full heavy. It's like, yeah, we think you've earned it now. I was like, oh. Great. But, yeah, I mean, you see me work through that at the end. But, yeah, I mean, just the abilities themselves, for the most part, are what are doing the heavy lifting here. It's, I already said, but it is Stylish Executioner. It's obviously Invis on debuffing. And then Ascension. We're using, obviously, Combination Blow and Gamblers, but we use these abilities in, like, really non-traditional ways. I know a lot of people, and, you know, I read comments as well, I see the kind of how people feel about combination blow. It's like, oh, another combination blow build. But this uses it in like a completely different way, where it's not kind of like dodge punch at all. I mean, you're seeing, it's literally there for giving me extra ascensions. Like, that's the nice thing about Coyote, is that, yeah, you can do dodge punch, dodge punch, dodge punch, but if you do that, you're then charging up your second dodge as well. So you can have dodge punch, but then also just be working in ascensions, which is really, really nice. Combination blow isn't typically used in most light builds, but it is a really, really good ability to have within most lights. If you just punch something and you don't kill it, that counts as empowering, oh, what do you call it, like 1 times empowered for class ability and grenade. If you kill something and then you consume combination blow, just for doing the unpowered melee whilst that buff is up, counts as, again, a powered melee, which means it's going to work with heavy-handed, which is a mod I run in this build. It works with inmost lights as well. So you can just use them and not have to dodge punch, but still benefit from it being there. Again, people would normally run this with like Liars and Calibans, so, and all they do there is just, again, dodge punch, dodge punch, dodge punch. This does that. Well, it can do that. It really kind of doesn't want to, though. I mean, you're seeing what the build does do, which is just like flying up in the air. I think the name for when I do the build video on this is going to be Helicopter Hunter, because it's kind of true. You are just like launching yourself up in the air, which it's such a fun build as well. It really is just kind of like super mobile, super spammy, and also just kind of ridiculous that the way you kill things is just by spinning a stick in the air. But nah, it's good fun. I really like it. As for why we've got grapple, this is also such a good inmost light user. I think you could maybe run Duskfield here, because again, it's like good bit. Oh my god, I can't even speak English. It's a good ability, but it only ever gives you 1 times empowered. Not that that's a bad thing. I really enjoy using inmost light rolls and then Winter Shroud and Duskfield, because obviously it slows, it gives you the bonus regen on your class ability. That's what the Fire and Ice build up on the channel does. It's kind of like a big part of that combo. But yeah, here it kind of doesn't add that much, obviously, because stylish, Ascension, no Winter Shroud, so yeah. But grapple, it's so efficient within most lights. Just for using the grenade, that counts as like a grenade usage, so that's 1 times empowered for melee and for dodge. But if you would then hit something with the melee, that then counts as melee damage, but also grenade damage. So grapple then 2 times empowers itself, but then 2 times empowers your melee, and 2 times empowers your dodge. So just this one ability that just fully charges everything. It's such a workhorse in the build, and it's also pretty nice to be able to like fly up with Ascension, and then be able to grapple back down, and just be able to have that combo. This build feels like a fighting game. It's just kind of like ability, ability, ability. You're up, you're down, you're hitting something, punch. It's so nice to play. Again, the big thing about what I do on this channel is builds that are competitive but fun to use. For the fragments in this build, I know definitely Facet of Hope. I mean, we've got Amplified on every use, so it's kind of like a no-brainer. I've got Facet of Dawn. I really just like having this in the build for anti-barrier. I know that's not something we're needing here. Sorry, this is Unstop and Overload, but yeah, I still quite like having him. You know, we're punching quite a lot. Again, combination blow, even if you've kind of like used the ability and it's uncharged, but you're empowered by combination blow. counts as proccing it, so you get a lot of value from that. Facet of Purpose as well, nice survivability tool. We get Woven Mail with Silk Strike, so again, just little damage resist. We punch enough where I feel like it was worth it for the Orb Gem, plus there's Curative Orbs in the Seasonal Artifact, which is really, really strong. So, you know, it felt like it was definitely a good fragment to have. For the others, I'm trying to remember. What was that? Purpose, Hope, Dawn. What's the one where you're... Facet of Protection. There you go, Facet of Protection. This build, you can see, is up close. Damage resists, always nice, especially in the high end. You really need stuff like that. So it was kind of just like an auto-include in a build like this. And then the last one... Ooh, I'm trying... I can't remember. Yeah, if you want to know the last one, skip to the end where the kind of build is, or I mean, it's dim. There's ways to find out kind of what that is. I can't believe I forgot that. Obviously don't know my build that well. For super, this could literally be anything, but Silk Strike, I mentioned this in the kind of Young Ahamkara vibe video, but Silk Strike gives you both of your dodge charges back, which for Coyote builds is obviously just, you know, it feels really nice to have. But, I mean, basically the same points that I made in that video stand for this build as well, where it's kind of like any super works. They have their pros and cons. Like Goldie, for example, off of Facet of Purpose gives Restoration, and I really like having Resto in builds. It's a super, super strong keyword. But yeah, like anything goes here. You can do whatever. Don't feel locked into this. To be honest, the reason why I like Silk Strike is that it's also just another way for me to charge up my Dark Transcendence bar. Obviously, it's an Ascension build, and that's light damage. That's going to be a lot of what you're doing. If you're not twirling your staff up in the air, you're punching stuff with Combination Blow. Again, that's light damage. So, yeah, it's just nice to have a Dark Super that can pretty much just fully top that bar up. Again, that's the reason why I'm using Lost Signal here as well, in that it is so efficient at charging up your Dark Transcendence bar. Yeah, okay, so here you can see, like, start the encounter at the 12:30 mark, and then for 7.5 minutes, I get not a single heavy ammo break. Not one. The game is just like, we think he hasn't earned it this time. Oh, in Silk Strike as well, you can use Ascension. It does cost you a little bit of super, but it's nice for overloads where you can just kind of fly up in the air. Although, again, you get both of your dodges reset on using Silk Strike, so you can just Ascension, stun an overload, and then pop your super. That's normally the way I like to do it because, you know, kind of you get more like damage out of your super than just using it for utility. You know, you've got so many Ascension uses in this build, it's never a problem. Yeah, apart from that, this boss room is kind of... You're just watching, watching for the point of watching at this point, because it's just me shooting a boss with no heavy. Again, like, this could have been such a fast run if I had some heavy ammo. This would have been so good. But, yeah, you know, oh well. As I said before, like, sometimes it's the kind of run that you get solo flawless over the one that just looks really good but might not be. And at the end of the day, it's more about just clearing content than looking flashy and cool. Yeah, again, I think the mod setup for this build, I haven't quite refined it just yet. You could go with a, I suppose the same mod setup from the Young Ahamkara Spine build. I think that's what I'm actually using here. Apart from... No, I think it might actually be just purely the same. That's not because it's what I would fully recommend just yet. It's because I was lazy. And I was like, I use the same armor. and just switch my stuff around in the subclass. But yeah, here you can see I'm shooting the boss with a pulse because I still have no heavy ammo. These parts, just watch out for the screws. Oh, seasonal artifact mods. Sorry, I was talking about this build and I kind of forgot to mention those. Not part of the build, obviously. It's going to roll around once... Is this Revenant? Yeah, I think it's called Revenant. Once Revenant is over. But there are actually some really, really good kind of seasonal artifact mods at this point. I already mentioned Curative Orbs. That's a big one. But the thick of it as well, which is Armor Charge while surrounded, is really nice. Mainly because you can stick on a... I don't know, something that shoots quite quickly, auto, pulse, SMG, and then you can stick on retinal burn, and then your arc guns, I think on rapid precision hits apply blind. One thing that this build doesn't have, it's got anti-barrier in Dawn, and then it's got like an insane amount of overload stun in Jolt, which for me is probably the best like overload keyword that they've added, because like Jolt stays on a target, they're not going to start health regenning if Jolt is on them. But then Unstop, you don't have anything. That's the only thing. You are fully reliant on the seasonal artifact mod for your Unstop stun. So Retinal Burn is super, super, super nice, because blind, obviously that's a decent keyword to have in itself, but also that is Unstop stun, which means you're not locked into using a pulse. I mean, I'm using Corrosion here because it's a really good pulse rifle. But yeah, like, by no means are you locked into just using a pulse. Plus, you know, blind as well, it's decent. There's a lot of good amount of arc synergy in this build, so yeah. And here you can see that I still haven't got any heavy ammo. But yeah, it's just kind of like... The thing is, I'm killing every ad as well. At this point, I was kind of like a little monologue to myself where I was like, what is going on? Where's my heavy ammo? If you watched my last solo of this GM, these immune totems, not a problem this time. Ascension is really nice in that it hits these totems, and I think one-shots them as well. And so they're no stress for this build, when you're running this GM at least. But yeah, here you can just see the stuff you've seen before. I can do that to get the weaken, ascend, grapple misses somehow. I'll probably go for another ascension. Oh, there you go. And yeah, they're just working through. And then spamming supers as well. This build gets supers really, really quickly. That's one thing that's nice about it. Obviously, it's a roaming super, so it got adjusted at the start of this season, I think is when they did that. But yeah, just like it does super gem really, really well. And yeah, sorry, I was talking about my mod setup before. Coming back into that, I think I'm running double dynamo and triple distribution. Then, as I said before, it doesn't work with Ascension, which is really annoying. Heart of Inmost Light actually, for whatever reason, also doesn't work with any of those. But, you know, it's kind of made up by the fact that your other two abilities are ridiculously good at giving you Inmost Light regen. And like way more insane than people talk about. You know, kind of like... You've got stuff like Scorch, for example, that kind of empowers your melee for every tick it deals. But these are just like abilities that can be used so much to the point that like that regen almost feels permanent. Which, obviously for spamming stuff, is exactly what you want. But yeah, the super gem from the mod setup, I think what I'm going to do for the build is maybe test out a heavy-handed mod. Again, that's going to work with grapple, which is going to be nice. Oh, sorry, heavy-handed? Hands-on on the helmet over dynamo. Just because, like, it is a combination blow build at the end of the day. Yeah, a lot of ascension and stuff, but even so, the punches are still, like, core part of the build. So it might be worth it to do that. And again, like, you don't benefit from from Dynamo here, so why not? But yeah, I mean, I say you don't benefit. You don't benefit from Ascension. That's the main thing. Like, yes, we can still just dodge punch, and we get it there, but, you know, that's not the focus here, so our mod setup shouldn't be building around that completely. Yeah, here you can see, oh look, finally, finally, I've got 8 heavy ammo. This is, honestly, this is the kind of like game just rubbing it in my face. In this M room now, obviously the boss has got a third of its health left. The game's like, oh yeah, you must want full heavy ammo reserves right now. Dude, I was just like, this is insane. Yeah, there you go. Heavy ammo break flies out. Oh, perfect timing. Yeah, so this last bit actually shows kind of like how quick one of these like boss chunks, like health bits, can actually be done because I've actually got heavy ammo. So yeah, there you go. You just double stick anarchy shots on. I was using this just because I really like that this build has got so much kind of like dot spread damage over time, and with obviously Jolt being spread on doing damage to something, it was really nice to be able to ascend near a target, then apply Jolt, and then just know that Anarchy is going to be doing like kinetic tremors, obviously the damage itself, and yeah, like it just felt like the right gun to use here. Again, like your weapons are super flexible there. Don't tell me what you can and can't use. And there you go. That's the run. I think I'm pretty sure I go over the build at the end. But oh, hold on, drip check. Yeah, in a second, once it loads. Damn. Yeah, dude, the ornament that came out, instant money grab for me. It was just like, yeah, I'm buying that straight away. With Bright Dust, of course. Okay, it's taking a little while. Lost Signal, also loading Vorpal, Pugilist Volt Shots, Anarchy, Inmost Coyote. Here, I did have triple distribution on, but I might change that. Then Silk Strike, obviously, Combination Blow, Grapple, Ascension, Stylish. Ah, there you go, Faceted Blessing. That was the last fragment. Sorry, Purpose, Dawn, Protection, and Hope. And then Seasonal Artifact mods. Yeah, okay, so I was using Dynamo. I think I'm going to change this to hands-on on the helmet. But I might also mess around with the class item. Again, the build video is going to be like the real display of this stuff. Anyway, that's about it. Zip.